David, welcome to Extreme Rotten Productions. This is my little store. Follow me. The main room. This is one of the guys that didn't want to pay. We had to decapitate him. Alright, here we have a little bit of a display of some of the more recent Extreme Rotten releases of the LPs and CDs up here. Same stuff in here. A little section just for the Danish death metal CDs. Is over here. Collection of various new and old tapes on the wall. A bit of stupid hints and shit. Some more display of the Extreme Rotten LP releases. Apologies, album reissues. Afterbirth New York Death Metal, Descent, Ohio Death Grind, Contagion Old Chicago Death Metal, 4-way split, Trilogy of Death, showcasing the current death metal scene in Denmark with new exclusive songs from Undergang, The Inquisitor, Friendlip and Tapas. And turning over here, we have a bunch of various shirts at the bottom, CDs going down on the top. On the wall, I thought it was kind of fun to do like a display of some of the more weird, obscure singles, since a lot of the cool death metal came out on 7 inches. So you've got that going down the wall here, as well as I thought I was fun to put up. This is the poster from the very first opening day I did of the old store, and the 1 year anniversary poster, and then 2 year anniversary poster, trying to do the sale thing. And so I do a lot of effort making something fun about the posters and shit. My name is David, and I started out playing in the Beatles, but then I got sick of rock and it eventually evolved into death metal. And then since then I've been playing in Undergang. Nowadays also Friendlip and newest Sequstrum. And then I run Extreme Rotten Productions. Well, I've been running the store now for 4 years, I think. It started out as being like a weekend thing only at a different address. We've been in this specific location here now for a little over a year and a half. At first, my girlfriend and I, we were looking for a new place to live, and while we were browsing around, we found an apartment that had a storefront also. And I thought that seemed very interesting to try to have a store, to make the label and distro into something a little bit bigger than just that. And with the support of her, we ended up buying that apartment and had me give it a go. Running the store on weekends. I started as I was working as a janitor at a school, part-time at the time, cutting down already. So I'll be working normal on the weekdays, and then on the weekend I'll be doing the death metal store. And eventually that started being more and more time-consuming to try to do the store at the same time as label and mail orders. And I took a sabbatical from my job to see if I could make it work doing a full-time thing with the store and label. Did that for 6 months and it worked out fine. Scarily enough, it also at the same time as the pandemic started. So seeing as I could make that work while the world was ending, seemed like it was a good enough sign for me to be able to do it properly. So I continued with that on there, and then started thinking I need a better location and more space, because I was running out of space at the time there. So I was looking around and I found this spot here in the center of town. So we've been here for a year and a half now, opening up while the world was still closed. But that's turned out to be pretty good, since I was spending a lot of time getting things ready down here. And then we opened up in April last year. 2021? 2021, yeah, there we go. I think that's it. Most recent arrivals, some selections I would say, check this out, this is cool. The people coming in. More 7 inches on here. Some nice smelling air coming out there because it's a basement and it's damp down here. And in the center down here is a little bit more just of like the local bands, merchandise and stuff like that. When we get to the second room, the LP room, where things are a little bit bigger, so people can't just put them in their pockets and steal without me noticing. LPs coming around, they'll be able to crawl, because that's what my OCD allows. On the way down here in the corner, we have a little selection just with the Danish death metal bands. A little bit of punk and hardcore too, since I think that is important as well. And on the walls, I tried to do a little bit of a display of some of the various shows we're putting on. We do this Extreme Rotten Death Metal. Volume 1, 2, 3, etc. So we start here, going around. Some of the newer ones on top. There's from the release party of the Trilogy of Death compilation, even though only 2 bands are not playing. It is what it is. the first Unearthed Morbidity we did this year, and continue with some of the show posters for the various things we've done, mostly in town, a few around the country. And in the corner behind Sam here right now is a little bit of display of some of the art prints I've done for ink lesions. Thought it'd be fun to try to do that, and it seems like a few people were interested, so that's good, but not more than I still have some to show here. God. And that sums it up pretty much, I guess. I'm doing these little showcases on the side for the last few years called Extreme Rotten Death Metal Volume. And then I just thought it'd be fun to do something a little bit bigger, so I talked with my friend Simon from Friendlift about doing a different event more close to a festival, and we came up with what we call Unearthed Morbidity, which was supposed to be a little bit more underground and based around what is going on in Copenhagen with all the bands we have here, and then also bringing in some friends. So we set one up originally to be, I think we went for 2 days at first too, at this small venue called Copenhagen, where there's like a capacity for 120 people or so. But that was in 2019 and supposed to take place a month after the pandemic started. So that got scrapped, and then we put it on ice for a little bit, but I thought it would be fun to do it again. So we brought it up again and did it for the first time last year at 2 different venues in town. Had some American and Finnish bands in, and then tried to fill out with all the local death metal bands we have, since Copenhagen is so good at death metal. Growing up as a kid, I was drawing all sorts of stupid things like most kids would do, from mushroom-shaped skulls and stuff like that, from being heavy reading horror comics and what horror movies I was allowed to. And then during the teenage years, I kind of put that on hold and focused on other things, started playing guitar and stuff like that. And eventually getting more involved with actually playing in bands. I started doing some logos and drawings for various gig posters and some demo covers and stuff like that. From my own things and some friends asking for stuff for what you could do. And then I guess it wasn't really much till I started Undergang that I focused more on doing art, and then just being in control, doing my own things for the band I was involved with seemed very cool, since I liked, say, the early Carcass stuff where Jeff Walker was doing the logo and a lot of the early art for that there too, and Chris Rifle was doing a lot of the primitive early stuff for Autopsy, and with Impetigo, Stevo doing all of their art. I thought it was very cool when a member of the band was doing the visuals too, since it gets even more inside the heart and brain of the band to produce what the visuals will be alongside the music. So I wanted to do that myself too. And with the first Dullahan album, I didn't feel comfortable enough with my own art to do the album cover, so we had somebody else do it. At the time, that was my friend Jonas Bjerg, who I lived with, who did all my tattoos and a lot of our friends' tattoos at that time there. So we had him do the album cover, and since then I've been doing most of the stuff for Dullahan and onwards. And some of the other things around going on. I like with the shows I do, that it has a new art made for the posters. You'll see, maybe we show that later around the store here. I've tried to keep the posters from the shows I put up with a new specific piece of art for that, so it's more special, because I think you remember a show also with how it's presented. If it comes with a cool poster, it's part of the memory you have of the show too, and I think that's very important. Yeah, and these days I started to call the art I do under the moniker of Ink Lesions, and with the help of my girlfriend again, because I suck at most things online. She's helping me doing some online presence for that too, for how we can present it there. Yeah, collecting some of the old new stuff. As for inspirations, it's the aforementioned musicians, artists, has been a role in that, and then also probably the more obvious for the people like horror art, that's Bernie Wrightson, even though there's a long way to go to be something similar to that. He's always been a big influence. And then just various things from reading creepy and eerie comics as a kid growing up, and still.